All right, y'all. All right, today is a very important day because Bitcoin, as you can see, is getting a little bit of a rejection. And in about 50 minutes, Jerome Powell is going to speak for an emergency Federal Reserve announcement. What in the world is about to happen with the Bitcoin price? Blessings to everybody in the name of Jesus, Yeshua the Messiah. Even if you are not religious, I still pray you and your family are super blessed. And this morning, guys, after not looking at the charts for an entire weekend, I was like, whoa! What is happening with Bitcoin? This dump is absolutely insane. All right, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about what is happening. We need to talk about what we can expect to happen. We need to talk about El Punto Rojo printing on the daily time frame, as the title of the video says. We are printing some bearish signals here. And we need to discuss the key areas of support and resistance, how we're looking to trade this, guys. And as usual, if we can get the likes up to 100,000, then the dang Bitcoin price action. YouTube is not receiving enough video. Uh-oh. Does it really mean that we're going to have to, maybe we're going to have to not stream today? I don't know. I don't know what to say about this, guys. Let me know in the chat if you guys are getting any kind of lag or anything like that. Let me know. Lag, do we have lag? Lagging so hard. Oh my goodness, this is not good, man. This is not good. Let me see here. I'm going to do a little test on my own side to see if we've got the lag. All right, let's do a quick test here. This is not good. Let me see here. Looks like it's all right. Looks like it's a little bit better now, guys. Looks like it's a little bit better now. All right, first of all, we got to give a major shout out to everybody in the chat. Major shout out to Trader Boy. Illuminati, are you trying to take down Jason Casper because he finally reached 1 million subscribers? Maybe. All right. Shout out to Stu Bennett. He says better now. Shout out to Aaron G holding it down with the wrench. Major shout out to Lennett. He says fine now. Thank you, Lennett. Shout out to Captain Happy. Shout out to Ran Man. It's popping in and out, bro. All right. It's working now. Seems like things are better. All right. All right. Seems like things are better here. Let's see. Well, it is what it is. Let's talk about what has happened here, guys, because as you know, on Friday, we were live streaming as we hit into this naked daily point of control. And I was hoping for a little bit higher on Friday, guys. I really was. But when the daily candle opened yesterday, oh my goodness, would you look at this massive move to the downside right now? Absolutely horrible looking. Look at this Bitcoin price action right now. So a few things I do want to point out. Number one, we have in fact front run the very important area of resistance, which is the POC of the range at around $67,000. We have come into a naked daily point of control. A few things I would like to point out. All right, this is the daily time frame. We have a daily order block right here that we all know about, and we also had these highs that we made here at 65K at the Fibonacci golden pocket retracement. All right. So far, if we're going to really close a daily candle below this level, it's not the best look for Bitcoin. Now, what is our hope? What is our hope? Is there any bullish hope here? Well, the level that we were looking at all last week is going to be the same this week, which is basically if we come down below $62,300, we have massive amounts of liquidity going all the way back to September 20th. So we have 10 days of basically longs that could get stopped out if we come below this level. So this is going to be a very important area for us to look for a bounce. If we cannot bounce from that area, and it is an area, guys, it is an area, I would say that the area we need to hold right now is going to be between 62.3 and coming down to the support resistance flip that we have right around here, right? It's a general area. This is very, very important to now hold Because if we do not hold it, if we take a look at all of this volume here, you can see we're going to be back down inside the range, and the chances are high, well, if once you're back inside the range, that you make it back down to the low of the range. Not the best look for Bitcoin, if you know what I'm saying, all right? Not the best look for Bitcoin. What is happening right now is we are just struggling hard with this local golden pocket that we are, like right now we made a low, we're making a high, we're coming back down into that golden pocket zone. We're struggling hard with it, guys. If we're going to lose this level right here, I mean, currently where we're at, like 63.4, then we're probably getting to move back down to $62,300. Now, as we came up to this level, this naked daily point of control, and we were kind of watching this on Friday, but essentially, guys, what happened is, as we came up to the level, we were in fact getting the dreaded upside down Sam Bankman-Fried bearish man boob pattern on market Cipher B, which is where the momentum waves and the money flow are both getting lower as the price is getting higher. So here's actually a picture of Sam Bankman-Fried, and for some reason, we don't know why, we hypothesized that perhaps when he went to the gym, he only did decline dumbbell bench press on the left-hand side. But you can see the left man boob much bigger than the right. And when we look here, this blue stuff, what is this blue stuff? This is money flow on market Cipher B. Getting lower over time, red pepperoni nipples getting lower over time. And if we actually take this and we superimpose it onto the chart and we stretch it out, we can see that it pretty much lines up perfectly with what market Cipher B was doing here. That's called a bearish divergence. Now, we had this on the 4-hour time frame, we had it on the 1-hour time frame, we had it on the 24-minute, we had it on the 12-minute time frame. And if we come over to the short setup in the Casper Crew VIP Discord that we were looking at all last week, well, we were basically looking to come up into this zone with the divergences on the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 24-minute, and the 12-minute time frame. And so I did take a short from this area. Limit order was set here. I've been very open for the past few weeks that I am going to be shorting no matter what at this zone, because it's a very, very key zone. So I'm currently in a short trade from this level, and it's not the biggest position in the world here, guys, because I'm looking at this as a zone. But right now, as you can see, I am currently in a short from that level, and we do have a very sad story to tell about my own personal love life, because as many of us know, this is not any arbitrary level that we're currently rejecting from. This is still the Fibonacci golden pocket, right? Let's not forget that the current area of resistance from the high to the low that we made all the way down here in August is that area right between that 786 and the 618 golden pocket Fibonacci, right? The 618 Fibonacci is indeed my high school crush named Six Juanita. And I had a huge crush on her, and I have said, Six Juanita, I would love for you to be my girlfriend. So one day I gathered up the courage to ask her out on a date. And well, what happened is she rejected me. She said, Jason, I like you, but not like that. You're too nice for me. I like bad boys, you know, the kind that live life on the edge and don't play by the rules. And Jason, you know, your haircut is just too nice. Your 5 o'clock shadow, too nice. Your plaid shirt, too nice. And she rejected me right from the Fibonacci golden pocket. Now, she was into bad guys like Sam Bankman-Fried, a criminal, someone who does methamphetamines in the Bahamas and steals money from people and gives it to Ukraine and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and all these other people, thinking he's never going to get in trouble for it. That's the kind of guy that Six Juanita was into. Well, as we know, as we asked her out, see, we asked her out back here on the 24th of August, right? Six Juanita, will you go out with me? No, Jason, I will not. All right. We had a big rejection. We had time to think about it. We had time to work on ourselves. We started to learn a new language, read some books, go to the gym. We thought we would ask her out again. Also rejection. And once again, who do we see? Sam Bankman-Fried's upside down bearish man boob. Both times. We have to learn she's never going to get over Sam. Never. And so it's a very sad situation for our love life. But yeah, both times, guys. So the question is, are we going to see higher prices here on Bitcoin? Or is potentially a top in? I will say I am 50-50 right now, and it depends on how the next few days progress. If we go to the daily time frame, yesterday, we confirmed El Punto Rojo, the story of the Mexican gangsters that are smuggling these blue and purple candles across the border. This is the border right here, actually. The border. All right, you've got El Punto Verde and El Punto Rojo, the green dot and the red dot. Whenever we get the green dot, we expect bullishness for the rest of the week. Whenever we get the red dot, we expect bearishness for the rest of the week. Well, last night we confirmed the red dot, El Punto Rojo. And this is not like El Punto Rojo from last Monday. If you guys remember last Monday, I made the bold statement that we are going to range and then break out and make another high. That's exactly what has happened here based on how market Cipher B was looking. But this week, as we take a look at El Punto Rojo right here, this is not looking as bullish as El Punto, I'm sorry, it's not looking as bullish as this other red dot was right here. Why not? Well, look at the angle of the yellow line right here pointing down. Look at the angle of the momentum waves as they cut off. You can see a much sharper angle here than you could back here. It's more akin to something that happened over here or even over here, right? And so for me right now, what I'm really looking at is I'm recognizing the fact that this is a major zone of resistance where I've been planning for, you know, a potential swing short down to a lower low below 49K. But until that happens, and until we, like, how should I say this? I'm not going to get ultra bearish unless we start to lose the zone that I've outlined for you right here. Now, why is that? Because this zone is a major support resistance flip right here. And last week, we were waiting for all this liquidity to get taken out. So I am currently right now looking at this zone of price action that we're currently in as a potential range, with the potential high of our range right around here and the potential low of our range right around here. So I'm right now looking for something like this to happen. Stop out everybody who's been long, literally since Friday the 20th, get one last bounce up to here, and then maybe come back down to the range, and this can be our new range, maybe for a week, maybe for a day, maybe it won't even happen. But right now, these are the two major areas that we need to be prepared for as traders, because this was a very, very fast move down. It's unlikely, in my opinion, that we don't get some kind of relief, that we don't get some kind of bounce. That's very unlikely. If we're going to get a bounce, I'm definitely interested in this green box here. All these lows just begging to get stopped out. And if we get the reclaim, we could see the move back up to our higher targets between $66,000 and $67,000, right? So that's going to be the first area that I am looking at. But this red dot on the daily does concern me a little bit, guys. It does concern me a little bit. Bearish div on the 12-hour does concern me quite a bit. The RSIs on market Cipher B on the 12-hour, they do concern me, all right? These things, all that we're seeing here, in my opinion, make the chart look much more bearish than it looked on Friday, right? On Friday, when we were looking for 67K, we did not see these bearish signs on the chart, and there was still, in my opinion, room for another push. But after yesterday's candle, man, oof. Well, I guess that's today's candle. This is a pretty harsh rejection, okay? So these are the two areas to be aware of right now, y'all, all right? If we are looking for trades. And once again, if we can come and hold above 67.3, then I don't see why. Like, let's say we do something like this. We hold above, I don't see why we can't still go for those highs. Because although the daily is looking like the rest of the week could be bearish or sideways, this weekly time frame still potentially giving us some hope here, right? Still hope on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin to make another high. But until we can reclaim that 67,000, and that's been our key level for weeks, then we really do need to be cautious, because this zone that we're in right now, this is resistance, right? This is in fact resistance. And depending on how you draw the trend line here, you could say we've rejected from the trend line. I don't know, right? It's the trend line is more like a trend zone, all right? The trend line is more like a trend zone. So from the euphoria of last week, feeling like this, to now the feeling like this, all right? From this to this in just a few days, because of a couple dots on market Cipher B. But look, guys, I'll be totally honest. I'm still in the long. All right, haven't closed out the long, baby. So we're still long from the trades that we've been taking all last week. All right, just in case this happens to be a bottom here. There is one thing I do want to point out. We did come down and get a bounce from a pretty key level, which is this. We look at all the volume that traded here, and we bounced right from that high volume node, right? Exactly from this high volume node to the dollar. So there is a chance that this is some support and we get some relief here, right? There really is a chance, especially when we go down to our lower time frames and we look at what's happening in the moment, which is, again, we bounce from that POC, we got to move to the upside, and now we're coming to the zone between the golden pocket and the 786. So we hold this, there's a chance now that we continue to make higher highs, right? We lose this, if we make another lower low here, would not surprise me in the slightest if we see Bitcoin go and take those lows from $62,300. All right, but this is a very, very key zone. Must hold if we want to see more upside. All right, so that is what is happening with Bitcoin right now. And yeah, I do think that overall, I am very neutral. I have to say, I am not bearish. I am not bullish right now. I'm extremely neutral on this Bitcoin chart because I could see us simply doing this and continuing up just as easily as I could see us doing this, making a lower high, and then coming back down. Like, honestly, for me, it's legitimately 50-50 right now. And Jerome Powell is going to make an announcement in about, well, let's see what time it is. Let's refresh this page here. It's 11:22. At 11:55, Jerome Powell is going to speak, and I expect some volatility. So when he starts to speak, we might see some intense volatility coming into the chart right here, which potentially could give us that swoop and dupe, the boop and bamp pattern that we are kind of looking for. So shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 1,600 people in here. Only 400 likes, guys. Make sure to smash up the likes because if everybody likes the video right now, we will be giving away 1,000 USDT. Got to give a major shout out to Rich and HH. Is there really an emergency Fed meeting today? I don't know if it's an emergency meeting, but I don't think they had planned for it. I think this is an impromptu meeting right here for the Federal Reserve, as far as I'm aware. So I don't think this was, I think this was planned for at the last minute, in my opinion. But you know what? I can't be, I'm not 100% certain on that. All right, I'm not 100% certain on that right now. So Bitcoin getting a little bit of a move to the upside on the very low time frames. Let's check out what happened on the order flow chart here. All right, we're going to go to the 15-minute time frame. And wow, would you look at this? Basically, we've had a few longs opening up. A few longs opened up here. So yeah, along the way up here, we had a decent amount of longs coming in. About 13 million longs opening up right here at the low. We had another 8 million longs open up. So over 20 million, 24 million longs, give or take, have opened up here. The large majority of those longs are actually still open. And so we're not seeing them get absorbed, really. We're not seeing any bearish CVD divergences here. So maybe we do get a little bit of a move to the upside. Once Powell starts flapping the old gums, I'm not sure if it's something we'll be able to watch live, but I do expect some major volatility to come in here. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. We have Solomon. Shout out to you, Solomon. Shout out to Yasir Harun Sati. It might be discussed to drop another 50 points on interest rates. Yeah, so let's see. If he comes out super dovish, you know, that really might be something bullish for us, especially if we're going to get a dip down below this area here. This area. And yeah, I will be looking for some fresh longs. You know, if we come down below this area and we get a reclaim, if we come down to our box, this is where I will be looking for the freshies. Guys. It's going to be looking pretty dang juicy. Also, got to give a major shout out to BLOFIN. BLOFIN right now still offering 10% cash back plus $1,000 future bonus until October 20th, so about 20 more days. Chance to win all these juicy prizes depending on trading volume as well. Also, guys, MEXC, best deal on fees right now. If you can KYC, MEXC right now is offering 0% limit order fees, 0.01% market order fees. Link in the pinned comment and description. And also, guys, got to give a major shout out to my man, White Phoenix, because at JasonCasperTrading.com, he is offering a 1-year anniversary of his trading course, which is, I think, good until, well, I don't know how long it's good until. I think the rest of the week, I'm not sure. But check this out at JasonCasperTrading.com, JasonCasperTrading.com, and go to the courses page, and what the White Phoenix trading course, of an extremely comprehensive trading course. And I mean this, I'm not just saying this because this is on my own website. This is the most comprehensive trading course on the internet, period. All right, you can pay $1,200 for a course that gives you like a tenth of the amount of juicy goodness you will find in this course. 90 videos plus. When you get the course, you get access to a private Discord, questions, all this kind of stuff, live streams. Totally worth it. And right now, he's giving you a juicy discount at JasonCasperTrading.com/courses/WP. Also, JasonCasperTrading.com if you want to join the Casper Crew VIP Discord, where we have all the instructors giving their setups and their plans and stuff like that. I got to give a major shout out to Boyan in the Casper Crew, because my man, I mean, literally months ago, gave the long and the short. Not months ago, I guess a month ago, right? Gave the levels. This was his trading plan back on September 5th. On September 5th, he was looking to long from 53.2 and short from 66K. And I mean, he posted this morning, this is all you need for the whole month, baby. You know, shout out to Boyan, giving these stuff in advance, coming in, faithfully doing his live streams every single morning, giving the juicy TA for Bitcoin, for altcoins, for stocks, Forex, all this kind of stuff, man. Boyan absolutely crushing it in the Casper Crew, one of our instructors who live streams every single day. All right, so let's get back to the Bitcoin chart right now, and let's see what's happening. We're going to go to the 1-minute time frame, the 2-minute time frame here. Again, so far, no real signs of strength here. Not yet. All right, but we are holding a last hope level of support before we get another move to the downside. So right now, this 786 must hold. We do not want to make another lower low, because then we are losing the fib supports, and it's very likely that we come down lower. Jerome Powell speaking in about half an hour, and that will take us, potentially, the Jerome Powell volatility will take us down to our next major box of support down here. Right? So very, very interesting times, guys. Very, very scary times. All right, again, interesting times. When I looked at the chart this morning, I was just, my goodness, I couldn't believe it. We got the eyes popping out the head. All right, let's see here. Shout out to Justin Barker right now. Yeah, Boyan's one of the best traders in the world, honestly. Shout out to Splashfire Films, who shouts out Boyan. Shout out to Kevin of Legend. He says the weekly MACD is looking good. You think it's looking good? Shout out to Bernie. He says, Jason, are you still a member of the non-binary XRP army? Yes, of course. Of course I am. All right. The weekly MACD is looking good for what? For bullishness? I don't usually, I have a saying, trade with the McDonald's and end up working at McDonald's, because the MACD is, I don't know why anyone still uses that indicator, all right? But let's check it out. The MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. All right? The weekly MACD about to get across. Weekly MACD about to get across. Could be good, could be good. I'd say we have a few weeks until that happens, honestly. Right? We have a few weeks until that happens right now. We don't really know when that could happen, so could be soon, could not be, right? Let's see. Let's see. I'm really not a big fan of the MACD. Look at this. We got this MACD cross right down here. Back here in August 2022. We get the MACD cross, and then we make another low. So I'm just not a big fan of the MACD, honestly. Another 39% to the downside. So let's say we get a MACD cross next week, or right now, let's say we had a MACD cross, we could still get another 39% to the downside. It's going to take us down to 40K. All right. MACD cross is right here, right? Bearishly. And yeah, we do get a move down, but then we give it all back, baby. So I'm not a big fan of the McDonald's. Again, trade the McDonald's, work at the McDonald's. Market Cipher B, that's where it's at. All right. Trade with Market Cipher B, end up working for Market Cipher B. I'm an official Market Cipher B employee, baby. That's why I have the custom shirt, the uniform, baby. Jason Billy Casper, Market Cipher. All right. Shout out to Crypto Face for hooking it up with the jersey. And when you work for Market Cipher, well, you don't really work at all, because those juicy butt cheeks, the upside down sandbankman free pattern, the uneven butt cheek pattern, that's how you make your income. All right. Will I sign language today? Somebody let me know in the chat. Can we live stream? In fact, here, hang on. Let me pop on over to, I'm going to take another poll in the chat here, okay? I'm going to take another poll in the chat. Is he going to be live streaming? Because I couldn't find it on the Federal Reserve website. But I'm going to do a poll here. So most people think 67K is still possible. Most of you guys think that in the current poll. Is Jerome Powell going to live stream? Will JP be live streamed? And I spelled it wrong, all right? It's hard to type and walk, guys. It's hard to type and walk. He's live. CNBC streaming on YouTube. All right. Let's see here. YouTube.com. Shout out to everybody subscribing to my YouTube channel. I can't believe that I have already hit 1 million subscribers. Can you believe it, guys? 1 million subscribers. I cannot believe this. Wow. This is amazing. I can't believe it, man. Can't believe it. Wow. All right. So we're going to go to YouTube. See if we can't find the JP stream. All right. Because he will be streaming in about half an hour. Today, baby. I see. All right, here we go. We're gonna, yeah, we'll watch it on NBC. What is CNPC? CNPC. Because honestly, if you get your news from here, you're an NPC. All right, no offense. But here I am getting my news from here. I'm an NPC. All right, it's obviously true. All right. The only hope for me is to put on my monocle, smoke my dang pipe, and pretend I'm smart. Ah, yes. Ah, yes, would you look at the chart today? Smashing. Quite smashing indeed. Alright. Shout out to Joe Who. Can you check BingX? Price? Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, we could give a look at BingX. Alright, BingX. Give a little look at BingX. BingX. Alright. Shout out to Joe Who with the BingX super chat. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. All right, you're looking to stack up on BingX. Well, here's the deal, guys. There's two scenarios that could happen. Bitcoin is going to either make a new all-time high Q4 of this year, or Bitcoin is going to make a macro lower low, take out 49K. If it's the former and Bitcoin pumps like crazy, then we can also expect coins like this to pump. And I do have to say that the BingX token on the weekly time frame looks pretty nice, right? We've changed market structure on the weekly after a large move to the downside. We have done so with bullish divergences on the daily time frame here. Money flow getting higher as the price comes lower, down really to this very important support resistance flip that we had right here. So the bottom on BingX does look nice. All right, it does look nice on BingX. Right now, we are looking to break out of this resistance right here. So, honestly, let's go with a bullish scenario. What would we want to see? A breakout, a retest of sorts. That could take us back up to our Fibonacci retracement resistances, which is going to be right around 3.1 cents. That will be our next area of resistance. If we get the breakout and the retest, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We have also the point of control value area high around that area. Yeah, looking actually quite nice for a move up to that golden pocket zone right there, around 3.15 cents. So any kind of breakout of this resistance and retest, honestly, money flow getting thicker for a bullish scenario for the crypto markets in general. I'd say anything below this level is a area to look to get in. This is just the lows, right? I mean, literally the lows. So that's potentially right now from our current area a 64 to 88% move to the upside. And if we're going to take the highs, well, I mean, from our current area, we're talking about a 139% move to the upside. Now, right now, the problem is, in order, like, if we put our stop loss under the last low, it's not the worst risk to reward. It is a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio if we're shooting for highs. But if we can do something like this, break out, get a retest, and once we reclaim it, then what that allows us to do is that allows us to put our stop under wherever that retest is, which then can give us like a 7-to-1 risk reward. So basically, we're potentially shooting to make, almost double the money on the trade by waiting for the breakout and retest, because it gives us an invalidation point, right? If we don't wait for that, then right now, something like this, not the best. So, obviously, viewer discretion is advised. There is some risky content on this channel. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm just the guy out here on the internet with a Pikachu hat, with a plunger on the face. Definitely not a financial advisor. Even though I wear a monocle, I am not a financial advisor. All right, again, this is contingent on how Bitcoin wants to behave, for sure. All right, so getting back to the Bitcoin price, go to the 1 minute. How's she doing here as Jerome Powell prepares to speak? Looks like we are making lower lows here, guys. All right, not the best look for Bitcoin right now. Not the best look for Bitcoin. I feel in my bones, guys, a move back down to take the liquidity from last week is probable, okay? We can see this slow grind to the downside right here. This slow grind to the downside does a few things for us. Honestly, the slow grind to the downside does a few things. Number one, well, this trade will obviously get stopped out. All right, this trade will obviously be stopped out. But what the slow grind to the downside does is it allows us to actually build liquidity to the upside. So if we do take the liquidity from last week, now we have liquidity to the upside to go and squeeze. And then we can probably get a move back up to around, 65, 66. And that might even happen today. We might see the massive move down followed by a massive move up today. All right, we might see it today. All right, could you imagine if we see it today? Can you imagine? That would be an epic live stream, guys. And I'm all about epic live streams. All about it. All right, who else do we have in the chat right now? Major shout out to Anadu Vinu. Hey, Jason, can you check the total 3? It looks like the pullback is complete. Yeah, Jerome Powell is speaking again. Daily level just below the lows. That's true as well. But I don't like front running a daily level like that. Money flow is good on the lower time frames. All right, let's check out the total 3. All right. Total 3. Is the pullback over? Gonna go to the 1 hour. Market Cipher B. So, I would say that it does look on the total 3 like we've already taken out this last little low here, bouncing from support resistance. But I would say this, the 1 hour Market Cipher B, this purple money flow doesn't look so strong in my opinion. The only hope for this is that the money flow is acting as support and then we come back up. I do like the RSIs. The RSIs right now look quite bullish on the total 3. RSIs look quite bullish on the total 3. So whenever you are looking at Market Cipher and those RSIs are tight together, like this, right, where it looks like there's one RSI that's a very strong indication that we are about to get a reversal. So, you know, a good example would be up here. The RSIs were tight together. It looked like one RSI. After they had been apart for quite some time, they're together, one RSI. That's where we get the big move to the downside, the big reversal. Now they're tight together on the bottom. All right. But that's just one indication out of many. All right, so let's go ahead and see. Federal Reserve, we're getting ready. We want the notification. Turn on notifications, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. All right. We're trying to get 1 million subscribers to the Jason Casper YouTube channel. Looks like we're pretty close. Actually, looks like we're there, but make sure to subscribe anyway. All right? Make sure to subscribe anyway. All right. Shout out to Mohammed. He says, love you, Jason, and I wanted to say $1 to $1. Okay. Thank you, Mohammed. I love you too. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right. Bernie says, game over for Bitcoin. Let's all panic together. Can I show market cipher settings? They are the stock settings, but yes, I will show them. I have only changed colors, and I have changed the VWAP from an area to a line. All right, from an area to a line. From an area to a line. That's how we do it in time, baby. All right, so we're going to wait. Jerome Powell's going to speak. We're going to watch the Bitcoin price dump all the way down to our level, the white line at 62.3. Then we're going to get a bounce. All right, we're going to get a bounce. All right. We're going to get a bounce. Shout out to Trader Boy. Shout out to Caddy McLovin. How am I able to schlong on BLOFIN? You need to set it to schlong mode. Schlong mode. All right. Guys, I am going to be right back. All right. So give me 1 second. All right. Be right back. All right, we are back, y'all. We are back, baby. All right, shorts are going to get wrecked. Where's the baby oil? Shout out to Salu. Shout out to Ben. I think 52.6 will hold Q4. Yes, I was going to take a piss. All right, I was going to take a piss. Shout out to Joe Potter. Shout out to Abjude. Abjude, is Abjude in the chat? Abjude, you in the chat, bro? Shout out to Joe Potter. Joe Potter, good to see you here, man. God bless you, bro. God bless you. Shout out to Random Stuff TV. Let's see what we can do here as we're waiting for Powell to dump and pump the price. The dollar is the original meme coin. That's true. I mean, the dollar is the original poop coin, right? After we went off the gold standard. Shout out to Alam from India. Shout out to all the people watching from India. Why is Sui so violent? Is TA on Sui possible? Yeah, let's check out Sui. Sui, I think there's some news happening with Sui soon. So be very, very cautious trading Sui. All right, be very cautious trading Sui. We're going to remove some of our TA that we did here last week for Sui. But yeah, it's not really that violent. I'll be watching for the following things here. We got to be careful, first of all, that, the daily market Cipher B does look quite bullish. The weekly market Cipher B also is not loading. Here we go. Money flow coming up. There's still more room for upside on the weekly market Cipher B. But the daily is setting up for a divergence. And so we do need to be careful if there is news coming out about Sui for a sell the news kind of event. As we're approaching the high, right, we do need to be careful for a pullback right there. So a few options. In a bullish event, we take the high and we start forming a bit of a cup and handle here, right? we got ourselves a cup and handle potentially forming on the chart. Let's go ahead and figure out how this would look. Cup and handle, right? And then we pull our fib from low to high, and we would be looking for the zone in between the 382 and the golden pocket, right? So we would be looking right around this area here for a bounce on SUI, which would be coming back down to our support resistance flip that we have right here, right? You guys see this? It was support literally all the way back to January, and then it was resistance in June, resistance in August. Then we had a big breakout. So this is a bullish scenario right here for chop SUI. And then we could see a break. All right, this is highly speculative, but just assuming, all right, just assuming that this news is going to result in a pullback or a consolidation, we have to recognize the fact that we are setting ourselves up right now for money flow to start coming down, for the momentum waves on Market Cipher B to start taking down as we take out this high, right? So I would be careful as we are approaching the highs. We have this nice rounded bottom here, so it would not surprise me if we see some kind of a pullback here, which could set us up for a cup and handle, which we could look for that area between the golden pocket and the 382. Let's just say $1.40, around $1.40, and then if the cup and handle breaks out and hits the target, I mean, that could take us up another. That could be like 140% move to the upside, right? Could be. Could be pretty juicy, actually. But for right now, unfortunately, I don't see a local entry for SUI. And the reason why is because when we go to the lower time frames, we are starting to see some pretty mixed signals here on Market Cipher. We've got bearish divs on the 4-hour that are confirming money flow coming out. The 1 hour, it's very ambiguous, honestly. We have bear divs that have confirmed, but we haven't changed market structure bearishly. If you are a gambly kind of trader, this money flow cross on the 1 hour does look nice. You could say, all right, invalidation either below these lows or below this low and shoot for the all-time high. That's kind of a gambling move in my opinion, but at least you know where you're wrong, right? If you're looking to capitalize on a potential pump to the high, you know, just make sure you have some kind of an entry with an invalidation and you're using good risk management. Other than that, for me, I'd rather wait for something like a pump and then a pullback. But right now, it's really difficult to look for a low time frame entry on this because we got that stair-step pattern going on. And this down here was the last stair-step support resistance flip. But as we're watching this stair-step pattern happen, we are seeing the steam run out, right? We're seeing money flow come out. We're seeing momentum come down, which means every stair-step bounce we get, it becomes less and less likely that we're going to hit those highs, make a new higher high. So for that reason, this is cautious territory right here. The highest probability opportunity, in my opinion, would be to wait for us to take the high, get some kind of a pullback, and then look for an entry once momentum is slowed down a little bit. Is it guaranteed to happen? Of course it's not. So you got to trade your own style. But overall, I'd say there's definitely still room for upside here. And my target would be 2.1. But ideally for me, I would want to see a bit of a pullback after we hit that. Come back down to maybe like, you know, 140-ish. Support resistance flip. And then get a bounce from there. But if you're the kind of guy, you know, or gal, you're like, you know what? I'm going to just, I'm expecting the pump. Then just make sure you have an invalidation, right? If this stair-step pattern is legit and we're keep making higher lows and higher highs, then at least you know that if this pattern stops, you know where to get out, right? If this local stair-step higher high, higher low pattern stops, where we make high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, as long as we don't take out that last higher low, it's still valid that the trend is your friend, right? Just be careful about Market Cipher with those bearish divergences. Here's the 5-minute time frame on Market Cipher. Okay, so in about 5 minutes, guys, Jerome Powell is going to come out the gate and talk to us about the economy of the country. All right. Make sure to smash into the like. All right. Make sure to FOMO into the like button on this stream, guys. I'm excited. Is Trump speaking right now? All right, the Fed stream is live now. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Looks like it's not live yet. Unless it's live on their website. Is it live on their website? Let's check it out. No, it's not live. Now we're gonna have to wait. I don't see it besides on in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes. All right. While we wait. Shout out to Frankie Legend. He says, can you look at Caspa on the daily weekly? We could give it a quick look. Caspa. Jason Caspa. All right. So here's the thing about Casper. Well, we are still holding the trend line. This is the TA that we've did a while ago. Honestly, look, I have to say that things don't look so bullish here on the weekly, and I would love to see a pullback to this box here, right? Take out all the liquidity from the trend line, 786. Weekly looks like she wants to come down. She's printing a red dot. Last time we got a red dot in the weekly, that gave us a candlestick of about a 28% move down. If we get 28% down here, that's gonna basically take us below the trend line. I mean, I know it's a big pullback, but red dot in the weekly, money flow coming out. The daily also looking not the best, but this is just a local range right here. We've taken the highs. I would love to come down to test either the trend line or even better down to this box. All right, that's just me. That is just me. All right, here we go. Federal Reserve live, 1 minute and 37 seconds. The suspense is killing me. The suspense is killing me, guys. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out here. Give me 1 second. And we're going to get it on a separate screen here for us. Here we go. $55 seconds, baby. And then we're going to watch this craziness, this absolute craziness take place. And it's going to be crazy, guys. Trust me. It's going to be crazy. All right. Let's head on over to here and also get that going. All right, we're waiting. We're waiting for CNBC. Come on, CNBC. Come on. You're supposed to be the mainstream news. All right. We're waiting for you. Let's turn off this music here and let's get ready. All right, let's get ready. Come on, CNBC. Come on. We're still waiting. All right, let's give it a like. 6,000 people waiting. Come on. Come on, JP. Oh, man. Oh, all right. Is this guy watching it? Where is he watching this from?
Moderating Jerome Powell.
Where is he watching it from? You know, I wasn't given the memo. All right, where are these other guys watching it from?
Both in August and September, it was that first week of the month where the market started to get...
Come on, Jerome Powell. Come on, CNBC. Come on! I'm not used to this, all right? I'm an American. I'm used to instant gratification, microwave culture, baby. You know, I don't even get up to use the dang toilet because I got my pack of Depends on right here. Pack of Depends. Fresh protection. I got that fresh protection, baby. Come on, Jerome Powell. Come on! Yeah, we're watching a guy on YouTube, watch a guy on YouTube, watch a guy on YouTube is what we're doing. Because these other people out here are watching guys on YouTube.
A couple minutes and then we'll see. So apparently I've been saying Doug's name wrong for months.
All right, so Amit has been saying Doug's name wrong for months while we're waiting for Jerome Powell. Aha!
Appointed in 2014. In 2018, he became the chair of the board of governors and was sworn in for a second term. He's had a long career in finance, and he's no stranger to navigating financial crisis, both at Treasury and while on the board of governors. Chair Powell will provide some prepared remarks, and then I'm going to invite him to join me on the stage for a moderated conversation. So, Chair Powell, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I do have some brief comments on the economy and monetary policy, and then I look forward to our discussion. Our economy is strong overall and has made significant progress over the past 2 years toward achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices. Labor market conditions are solid, having cooled from their previously overheated state. Inflation has eased, and my FOMC colleagues and I have greater confidence that it is on a sustainable path back to 2%. At our meeting earlier this month, we reduced the level of policy restraint by lowering the target range for the federal funds rate by a half percentage point. That decision reflects our growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in an environment of moderate economic growth and inflation moving sustainably down to our objective. Turning to the labor market briefly, many indicators show that the labor market is solid. To mention just a few, the unemployment rate is well within the range of estimates of its natural rate. Layoffs are low. The labor force participation rate of prime age workers is near its historic high, and the prime age women's participation rate has continued to reach new all-time highs. Real wages are increasing at a solid pace, broadly in line with gains in productivity. The ratio of job openings to unemployed workers has moved down steadily but remains just above 1, so that there are still more open positions than there are people seeking work. Prior to 2019, that was rarely the case. Still, labor markets have clearly cooled over the past year. Workers now view jobs as somewhat less available than they were in 2019. The moderation in job growth and the increase in labor supply have led the unemployment rate to increase to 4.2%, still low by historical standards. We do not believe that we need to see further cooling in labor market conditions to achieve 2% inflation. Turning then to inflation, over the most recent 12 months, headline and core inflation were 2.2% and 2.7% respectively. Disinflation has been broad-based, and recent data indicate further progress toward a sustained return to 2%. Core goods prices have fallen 0.5% over the past year, close to their pre-pandemic pace, as supply bottlenecks have eased. Outside of housing services, core services inflation is also close to its pre-pandemic pace. Housing services inflation continues to decline, but sluggishly. The growth rate in rents charged to new tenants remains low. As long as that remains the case, housing services inflation will continue to decline. Broader economic conditions also set the table for further disinflation. The labor market is now roughly in balance. Longer-run inflation expectations remain well anchored. Turning to monetary policy. Over the past year, we have continued to see solid growth and healthy gains in the labor force and in productivity. Our goal all along has been to restore price stability without the kind of painful rise in unemployment that has frequently accompanied efforts to bring down high inflation. That would be a highly desirable result for the communities, families, and businesses we serve. While that task is not complete, we have made a good deal of progress toward that outcome. For much of the past 3 years, inflation ran well above our goal, and the labor market was extremely tight. Appropriately, our focus was on bringing down inflation. By keeping monetary policy restrictive, we helped restore the balance between overall supply and demand in the economy. That patient approach has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our 2% objective. Today, we see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as roughly in balance. Our policy rate had been at a 2-decade high since the July 2023 meeting. At the time of that meeting, core inflation was 4.2%, well above our target, and unemployment was 3.5%, near a 50-year low. In the 14 months since the July 2023 meeting, inflation has moved down and unemployment has moved up, in both cases significantly. It was time for a recalibration of our policy stance to reflect progress toward our goals, as well as the changed balance of risks. As I mentioned, our decision to reduce our policy rate by 50 basis points reflects our growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate economic growth and inflation moving down sustainably to 2%. Looking forward, if the economy evolves broadly as expected, policy will move over time toward a more neutral stance. But we are not on any preset course. The risks are two-sided, and we will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting. As we consider additional policy adjustments, we will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. Overall, the economy is in solid shape. We intend to use our tools to keep it there. We remain resolute in our commitment to our maximum employment and price stability mandates, and everything we do is in service to our public mission. With that, thank you very much, and I look forward to our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Short and sweet. So here we are in Tennessee. We've had a major hurricane move through. It's top of mind. You know, when so I thought to bring it up right at the beginning. Does the Fed have a role to play when natural disaster strikes?
So let me just say, like everyone, we see the tragic loss of life and the terrible disruption of millions, literally millions of people, including here in Tennessee. We have a couple of things that we do in these situations. One is that we're encouraging bankers to work with their affected customers in affected areas. And the second thing is that sometimes in these situations when power is out, there's a need for cash. And so we find that as a very important thing in these disaster situations. And so we have the ability through the reserve banks to make sure that the banks have available cash so that if power is out for a significant amount of time, there's enough cash to do transactions. But, you know, obviously we're mainly on the sidelines and you know, sympathizing with this very difficult situation people are in.
Great. You, in your prepared remarks, you walked us through the decision to begin cutting rates. What has happened, though, since the September meeting? What's new since the September meeting?
Since the September meeting, so most of the data that we'll see before our next meeting hasn't come yet, of course, and we can talk about that. But I would say, you know, one thing worth pointing to is the annual NIPA revisions, which I thought were quite interesting, and I'd point out a couple things. First, as this audience will know well, there are two ways of measuring output in the economy. There are many ways, but two principal ways are gross domestic income versus gross domestic product, so GDI versus GDP. There's lore and there's research that says that actually GDI, gross domestic income, gives a better real-time reading. And for the last year and a half or so, GDI has been quite low relative to GDP, raising, for those of us who forecast the economy, the risk that that GDP will turn out to have been overstated and it'll get revised down to meet GDI. So that's been a downside risk that we've been monitoring. As this audience will well know, quite the opposite happened, and there were very large, adjustments to revisions to GDI, and there's now no gap between the two. In theory, there should be no gap. It's no statistical error in measurement. So that kind of, I would say, removes a downside risk to the economy. Secondly, it has looked as though consumers were spending more than their income. We see disposable personal income now being estimated up, and so that's no longer the case. Again, removing what we've been thinking of as a possible downside risk that the level of consumer spending might be unsustainable. So we look at that, and again, it looks, these were very large, healthy upward revisions to income. And
so we had income was revised upward. Spending was revised upward, but income was revised upward so much more so than spending that the savings rate came up.
That's right. Even
with greater spending.
Yeah, the savings rate too. So we think savings are now, there are more savings on people's balance sheet and the savings rate is higher. So that speaks of more kind of background that suggests that spending can continue at a healthy level. I'll just mention quickly two other things that I thought were interesting. One was just another modest increase in estimated productivity. We can talk more about that, but of course we're watching the situation with productivity. Productivity is very important to potential output, and the question is, are we seeing rising productivity which will be sustained over a period of time? And of course, I think it's way too early to say that. Nonetheless, you do see some increase in productivity because we've increased income, but not hours worked. The last thing, and maybe the most significant though, is there's a bit of a tension between the labor market data, which speaks of a cooling labor market, and the spending data, the GDP data, and which has been quite solid. And I would say that tension has not been resolved, unlike a couple of the others. Nonetheless, I would say though that if you take away from this, as I do, that you can be somewhat more comfortable with the spending data. That may also help with the employment data.
So if the economy, so GDI, it was pretty significant upward revisions. GDP also was revised upward somewhat. And so when there's strength in the economy like that, does that give you some sort of sense or more of a sense of security when you're seeing a cooling labor market that maybe the worst outcomes won't happen if GDP is still that strong?
So the answer is ultimately yes, but I would add though that I think there's a lot of thinking that the labor market may give a better real-time picture in some cases than does GDP data. So if you look back over prior downturns, you'll often see that they weren't well predicted by GDP data, but they were by one or more aspects of the labor market. Now, we don't see that happening. There's really nothing that I can point to in the economy that suggests that a downturn is more likely than it is at any time. So we don't see that, but I would say seeing that there's more support for thinking that the GDP readings we get are solid. I think that does happen. It helps at the margin. That's not going to stop us from looking very carefully at the labor market data, though.
Okay. So I have a few questions here on unemployment. The first is related to the summary of economic projections, and then the second is related to state versus national rates of unemployment. So in the summary of economic projections, the median participant has the unemployment rate moving from 4.2% today to 4.4% by the end of the year. So continued drift upward. And yet the median expects that the pace of rate cuts will move down as the unemployment rate continues to move up. How do you square that picture? How do you explain that?
Well, remember that the summary of economic projections is really just a tabulation of the individual 19 participants. So it doesn't come from one sort of consistent thing. But I can tell you why I think people will have written up a couple more tenths of unemployment. It would just be that, as we've seen, the level of job creation is maybe not quite at the level it needs to be to hold unemployment constant, given assumptions about supply. That would make sense to me. I think everyone at this point is looking at their forecasts and understanding that there are great uncertainty bands around it. But the SEP asks you to write down your most likely case, whether you want to or not. And so that's what it is.
So it's sort of a love-hate relationship with the summary of economic projections?
That's not unfair.
Not for you personally, but yeah. Is there
I would say sometimes people can pay too much attention to it. I will say, though, one thing is we do it, as this audience well knows, we do it once a quarter. And over the course of a full quarter, the old SEP can get pretty rusty, But for a few weeks after the meeting, after we write down the SEP, it's actually a pretty good read on what the thinking of the committee is. And one thing I will point to is that if you look at the path that people wrote down, we had 10 people at 4 cuts or more, or 2 remaining cuts. We had 19 people at 3 or more. But the sense of the committee, this is not a committee that feels like it's in a hurry to cut rates quickly. It's a committee that wants to be guided. Ultimately, we will be guided by the incoming data. And if the economy slows more than we expect, then we can cut faster. If it slows less than we expect, we can cut slower. And that's really what's going to decide it. But I think from a base case standpoint, we're looking at it as a process that will play out over some time, not something that we need to go fast on. It's more, it'll depend on the data, the speed at which we actually go.
Yeah, so before I get to that second question on the unemployment rate, I'm going to ask you a point-blank question here. How are you thinking about the November meeting?
So a couple things. One, we have 2 employment reports and an inflation report coming in. So the main thing will be to look, when we get to that meeting, at the totality of the data, and we'll be looking at the activity data, the unemployment data, and the inflation data, and asking ourselves, is our policy stance in the place where it needs to be for us to best foster achievement of our goals? And I think we'll take everything into account, and we don't have that data yet. So that's the main thing. But the other thing is just, I wanted to point out, and I kind of just did, that it's a committee that we will do what it takes in terms of the speed with which we move. But if you look at where we were 2 weeks ago, coming up on 3 weeks ago, I guess, when we wrote down our SEPs and made our decision, it was a situation where people were thinking, the bulk of the committee was at 75 or 100 basis points, and the votes were on 50, and that would mean 2 more cuts. It wouldn't mean more 50s. Now, of course, that'll depend on the data, but ultimately that's what the baseline is. If the economy performs as expected, then that would mean 2 more cuts this year, a total of 50 more.
Okay. Question from the audience now. The regional bank presidents know their districts very well, and they come into the FOMC meeting, and well, even before that, the Beige Book, right, provides that snapshot of what's going on around the country. And so we focus on the national unemployment rate, but there are state unemployment rates as well. Are there certain states that are primarily responsible for driving up the unemployment rate nationally? Is it something that's more broad-based? And how would you weigh sort of national versus state level?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking at the national aggregate levels. But the real value, one of the great values of the Reserve Bank system is we get, detailed reports of what's happening in the districts, which really start with the directors of the branches and the main banks, who come in and talk to they talk to the staff and also to the president of the Reserve Bank. And I think the banks just do a great job of gathering data and anecdotal information too about what's going on in the district. This is enormously useful to us who are sitting in the center and don't have that range of context or so I think it's quite useful. But at the end of the day, we have to go on national data. Although, of course, there are there are different things. It's a big country, a big economy. There are parts of the country that are, doing better than others.
In your prepared remarks, you mentioned about job finding prospects. We have Dana Peterson here, chief economist from the Conference Board. The Conference Board had data recently showing that folks feel like it's getting harder to find a job. Does that, one, concern you, and two, how do you weigh sort of survey data versus hard data like a job openings and labor turnover survey, for instance?
You know, we look at everything, of course, but in particular, the job finding rate has come down very significantly. And so if you're out of work now, it's going to be harder to find a job than it was 2 years ago when the labor market was extremely tight, where you would have had multiple employers waiting for you outside the building to give you offers. You know, now it's much more at a normal level, or even perhaps a little bit soft. So the job finding rate is much lower. So by so many measures, the labor market is still solid, but it really has cooled. I mentioned vacancies relative to actual unemployed people who are looking for jobs, so they're counted as unemployed. That is right around 1.1 ratio. That was a tight labor market before the pandemic. But it's less tight now. That number was at 2.0, and it's worked its way down. Like so many measures, quits, all of those wages, they point to the same thing, which is a labor market that's still strong, where conditions have cooled considerably. And as I mentioned, we don't think that labor market conditions need to cool further from where they are. Just to take the unemployment rate, I mean, it's substantially higher. 4.2% is substantially higher than where unemployment was in 2019. And inflation was below 2% 2019. Take a broad set of conditions, look at 2019. That was not a high inflation environment. So this is not a problem with excessively tight labor markets causing inflation.
I'm so glad that someone submitted a question on housing inflation. I'm sure you're so glad as well. And so I'm going to ask it because we haven't really talked about inflation yet. You made a great point in your prepared remarks that it's running right around, 3-month annualized pace is running right around 2%. So housing inflation has been a large contributor to the overall inflation and continues to be an issue throughout the country. Eroding wage gains. And although housing costs are not a dual mandate, how is the housing market factored into decision-making by the Fed?
So, we think of core inflation as 3 buckets: goods inflation, non-housing services, which is by far the biggest bucket, and then housing services, and that's rents and also owner's equivalent rent. The first 2 have looked like they've, broadly speaking, moved back to their pre-pandemic level. Housing services inflation has not yet. And what's happened is that what should happen is when market rents drop, as leases turn over, when the increase in market rents drops to a low level as it has, as leases turn over year upon year, you should see housing services inflation flatten out. And you are seeing that, but you're seeing it just at a sluggish pace, as sluggish as it usually. So I think I went from thinking at the beginning that this would happen fairly quickly to now thinking that process will play out over a period of some years, 2, 3, 4 years. Nonetheless, as long as market rents, actual new leases as long as inflation in those rents, those leases, is relatively low, it's going to show up in housing services inflation as well. My guess is it's just going to take longer than we've been expecting and longer than we've wanted. But I think, the direction of travel is clear as long as market rate inflation remains relatively low, which it still does.
So the goods side of that equation, goods prices are less under the control of the Fed, but we have been sort of moving back to our previous regime of deflation in goods prices. Some of that is probably sluggish growth from China. But how much do you rely on goods prices being in deflation in order to help that overall aggregate inflation? Well, so
if you go back before the pandemic, you had, as you pointed out, mild deflation in goods for, globalization reasons and other reasons. And, so you take those 3 buckets I talked about, together they produced inflation between 1.7 and 2%. So we're trying to get back to a world where inflation is 2%. And the combination of those three buckets is less important than the fact that you get the aggregate back. So I just pointed out that goods inflation is kind of back to where it was, and so is non-housing services, and that's most of the inflation bucket. But the third one is not there. Any combination of those things will do, but I think it really looks like the third over time is going back down to where we would like it to be, which is at a level which won't be 2%. It'll be a little higher than 2%, but that will make the aggregate 2%, right in the range of 2%.
So you're going to be embarking on a review of the framework. And inflation, the behavior of inflation since the framework change in 2020, do you think that will inform, or how well will that inform the discussions when you do start the process of going through that 5-year review again?
So we're starting our second 5-year review late this year. So we haven't started yet. We're just now in the process of kind of laying out all the questions we're going to ask and assigning the memos and doing that kind of thing. We're not really ready to roll that out yet. But of course, we're going to be asking, how should we change our framework, which is embodied in the Statement on Longer Run Goals and Monetary Policy? How should we adapt that to what we now understand to be the way the economy works? What have we learned from the last 5 years? And that's what we'll be doing. So we'll be asking all of those questions and giving our answer.
5 years has flown by. I can't believe we're already up on another review of the framework.
Can't believe it.
It feels like yesterday.
I know.
So let me ask you, because you talked a few times about the data that you're going to receive before the November meeting. And one of those data points, most notable being an employment report that comes out during blackout. Some time ago, the blackout period around Fed meetings was extended. And I can tell you that as a longtime Fed watcher, I loved it when the blackout period was extended because it was almost like a sleep while the baby sleeps. So I could relax longer leading up to the meeting because we could all sort of take a break. And I also used to have a saying that and this was my personal saying, the Fed does not react well to late breaking news. And it was my way of saying, once you went into blackout, that was it. The data in hand determined that meeting. But it feels like more so over the last year or two, data, and maybe it's the volatility around the data is being considered during the blackout period. Maybe it always was. It just wasn't that volatile. Even policymakers have talked about and yourself, data that was released during blackout leading up to the meeting. So what does that mean for an employment report that's released during blackout just ahead of the November meeting? I mean,
it depends on the broader situation, but if it's a really important employment report, you should assume we haven't made a decision until we see it. And we're absolutely going to take into account important data that comes in during the blackout period. It gets harder when it's like this, the morning of the second day of the meeting. It's harder to do that. Yeah. But, because, everything, it's a big machine. But if it comes out during the blackout period, you should just, going into that, you should just assume that what happens there could really matter for the decision. If that makes sense, there might be a situation where that wouldn't make sense. But I think in the world we're in right now, then, we're going to be looking carefully at the data, even though it's in blackout. Absolutely. And
if this is right, then even during the deliberations, during the FOMC meeting, policymakers do have the ability to change their thinking or their forecasts or their views during that meeting.
Yes. I mean, we do a lot of work, during blackout. We spend a lot of time. I talk to every participant on the Thursday and Friday before the meeting in detail about the economy and what they're hearing. And so there's a lot of discussion that goes on. And ideally what we discuss in the meeting is kind of a synthesis of all of the views and information that we're all sharing with each other. So, but you should just assume, though, that decisions don't get made until the meeting. They're not going to be made. I mean, sometimes there isn't really a decision to make, right? It's pretty obvious what we're going to do. Other times, when there is a serious decision to make, you should just assume that it gets made with as much information as possible. If you make the decision before you get all the information, you're throwing away, some information there. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So when you began hiking the federal funds rate in 2022, the focus has been on the policy lags, sort of long and variable, but who knows how long or how variable. And so, it seemed like the lags were longer than we thought they would be on the way up. Does that mean that the lags may be longer on the way down? And how do you gauge whether those lags are changing?
This is a very hard part of it. You can't really know. Even now, we can't really know why what's happening is happening. People will be debating in 25 years whether what's happening now with the cooling labor market is due to policy lags or due to something else. So we can't know. What we can know is that what we believe is that policy works with long and variable lags, and we have to take that into account in our thinking, and we do. It's challenging. On the other hand, just take the current situation. What you see is solid growth in the economy. And what you see is a solid labor market. So in a way, the measures we're taking now are really due to the fact that our stance is due to be recalibrated, but at a time when the economy is in solid condition. That's what we're doing. We're recalibrating policy to maintain the strength in the economy, not because of weakness in the economy.
The transcripts are released every 5 years. And so I believe it's January of 2025 that we'll first get a look at the 2019 transcripts. And 5 years ago, you may recall that you were cutting rates. So give us a peek, if you will, into what the transcripts might show around the deliberations you were having at that time as to what were you seeing in the national and the international economy that would drive you to make that rate adjustment, and what did you see that made you feel like you had done enough?
It's a very different situation than the current one, I guess I'd start by saying. But so if you remember, we had raised rates very slowly, I think a total of 9 times, to maybe 2.25% and 2.5%. And what my colleagues and I were feeling in 2019 was significant global economic weakness, and also some weakness in the United States economy, and also just a lot of, this was a time of a lot of trade issues, and it was markets were really uncomfortable, and business sentiment was very concerned. So we cut 3 times. And I felt like at the end of the year, I really felt like it had worked well to settle things down. And so we were still, at 175 basis points or something like that. That was that situation. Current situation is one where we raised really quickly to the highest level in 20 years, policy being at about 5.3%, 5.25% to 5.5%, to help with inflation in a world where we had the highest inflation in a long time. And then I think if you take a snapshot of our policy stance, which we put in place in July of 23, and look at, I did this in my remarks, unemployment was 3.5%, really tight, and inflation was 4.2 or 3%. So now look where we are. We're at 4.2% unemployment and 2.5%-ish in inflation. So the stance that we put in place 14 months ago is not the stance that we need now. It's time to recalibrate. And I think we held on for a long time. And I think we did the right thing. I mean, history will tell, but I think we wanted to get confident about inflation so we wouldn't be in a situation where inflation could just come right back. And so we held on long enough that I think we're more confident so this is quite a different situation than 19, but that's how I remember 19.
Do you think that the 50 basis points that you delivered in September, that cut you described as a strong start, did that cut give you more confidence in the soft landing?
I would put it this way. It's a reflection of our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down, our growing confidence that it's moving sustainably down to 2%. as I mentioned, our design overall is to achieve disinflation down to 2% without the kind of painful increase in unemployment that has often come with disinflation processes. So that's been our goal all along. We've made progress toward it. We haven't completed that task. I think you'll see us using our tool, in a way that shows our commitment to achieving that. In terms of, I don't want to make a judgment about its likelihood. I just want you to know that we're committed to using our tools to do everything we can to achieve that outcome.
Well, economists every day we're asked to put a probability on the soft landing. I try very artfully to avoid it. And I'll just put it as I have high hopes. So the unemployment rate, though, has risen. And so should folks be focused more on the delta, the change in the unemployment rate from that very low 3.4, 3.5 to now 4.2, or the fact that 4.2 is only 0.2 above where the committee believes full employment to be, if we can have any confidence of where we think full employment is? And how would parsing demand versus supply in that rise in the unemployment rate factor in?
I mean, the change that we've experienced in the unemployment rate is information, and we shouldn't reject that for what it's worth. It's information. We should know it and consider it. And is it telling us something about future movements in that direction? We can't know that, but that's the question. So, we're not going to ignore that. I think also the level of, and the reason why unemployment has moved up too is also important. But the level is still a level that is, I remember when I joined the Fed in 2012, I remember unemployment going down below 6 and then down below 5, and people were really thinking, wow, we're in the 4s. This is really low. 4.9% was considered to be perhaps below the natural rate. Now we're talking about 4.2. So I think you need to keep that in context. In terms of supply and demand, it's really down to the level of payroll job creation has come down pretty significantly from where it was earlier this year and certainly in prior years. It's 116,000 a month for the last 3 months, and that's without the QCEW adjustment, which would tend to suggest that that'll be revised down significantly in time if the QCEW adjustment is sending an accurate signal about what's happening now.
Those are the preliminary annual benchmark revisions.
Yes, through March.
Right.
That's right. So, I think you look at all of it. You've got a solid labor market, and we are recalibrating our policy stance, and we'll continue to do so going forward in order to maintain that position.
And when you talk about following the totality of the data, obviously in the U.S. we enjoy really a good deal amount more of government sources than I think other countries. We have a lot of private sources for data. And so this is a shameless plug for NABE, really, because I wouldn't be president without it. But Svenja Gudell, who is the chief economist of Indeed, is a valuable member. And Indeed, LinkedIn, ADP, they all put great monthly reports out on the dynamics of the labor market from millions of data points, really, that they track. How do you take into account, sort of say, a JOLTS, which is an official government source for the flows in and out of the labor market, versus what some of the private sources show? How closely do your economists follow that?
Oh, really closely. Yeah. Of course, we look at JOLTS, we look at Indeed. You can pick out any of these and critique it, but I think the bigger picture is that the business of collecting data about the U.S. economy and analyzing it is really one of the great achievements of our country, frankly. We're committed to doing everything science allows us to do to understand what's going on in the economy. Understanding it perfectly is impossible, but we do everything. We do some of this at the Fed. Mostly this is not done at the Fed, but the collection of data and the information that we get are as good as it can possibly be. And I think basically it's a great success story about our country and about our economy, I think, overall.
Yeah. Maybe another shameless plug is just that NABE is a very strong supporter of funding data agencies at the government level to ensure healthy, reliable, and sound data sets. Just saying. So given that you're talking to a room full of economists, I'd love to get a sense of how you all at the Fed use your economists. You have a few, just a few at the Fed. I think 150 or so, I'm not sure, but it's a lot. And maybe, you know, when you're in the committee meeting itself, how do you use the economists to give you updates, to give you the data that you need to help you make decisions?
We have a lot more than 150 economists.
Okay. I knew it was a big number.
It's a big number, but I mean,
are you hiring?
It's
for the NABE scholars.
We're always hiring, always. You know, we're an interesting organization, and you know, we have very large number of PhD economists, but we also have, you know, policy making responsibilities in monetary policy, in payments, and financial regulation, and so we're kind of, you know, on the line between academics and policy making, very important policy making. The economists that we have, I would say this about the other professionals that we have, they're incredibly important to the work that we do. The way I experience it is I meet regularly with different groups of economists, but if I have a question about something, often about the labor market or inflation or anything, I'll get an answer, but usually I get a group of people. And these will turn out to be people who have spent, you know, 30 years or 20 years, you know, thinking about that very question. And there might be 2 or 3 different opinions or way to approach that problem in the room. So people, they feel free to disagree with each other. And they also feel free to disagree with us, with the policymakers. And we feel free to disagree with them. I mean, it's a very healthy dynamic. But, you know, these are, you know, so many of these people. They're wonderful people. They're incredibly committed public servants. I'm deeply honored to get to work with these people, and I think I think the Fed is a great place to work for an economist. One of them said to me, one of the most senior ones said, you know, if all we could do around here was just sit around and analyze and talk about the economy, we'd have the best jobs in the world. You know, all the policy making is hard, but ultimately it's really fun and enjoyable to analyze and discuss the economy. We could all spend our whole lives doing that. But we have other responsibilities too.
Just a few.
You can probably relate to that.
Yeah. Well, I think even you and I have had a conversation where you said, I like nerding out with the economists, and we appreciate that. Yeah. I'm glad that you do.
I speak economies.
You speak economist, yeah. It's a whole different language. So in our last minutes here, you know, sandwiched between you and Alon Collette at the lunch table, lots of talk around. I hear guitars, I hear blues music, I hear comparing every band that's your favorite and albums, and I feel like that's been the conversation of this whole conference. As Alon said, we were at the Johnny Cash Museum last night. It's just, Nashville is just a phenomenal place. And so, if you were to be able to stay over, what would you do this evening in Nashville?
I would certainly visit the Patsy Cline Museum and the Johnny Cash Museum. Big Patsy Cline fan. I like this kind of music. I like music way too much. The other thing is there's a band that it turns out Alon's going to see tonight called the Time Jumpers, and it's basically the best studio musicians in Nashville and hence in the world, really, in the kind of music they play. And they play at a place called Third and something or other. Third and Lindsley. But it's an excellent band. Vince Gill sits in as the lead singer, but he's not always there. Anyway, that's what I would do. And I've got to come back because I've been a fan of that band for 10 or 15 years and I've never seen them live. So.
Well, in about 15 minutes, it's going to be sold out. So.
I've got some tickets.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Already is sold out. Oh, gosh. Okay. Should have known. All right. Well, next time then. And for now, thank you so much for giving us your time today, Chair Powell. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Ellen.
All right. You guys saw it for yourselves. You saw it for yourselves. Jerome Powell coming out the gate, giving us some news. All right, Bitcoin getting a little bounce from the daily level. with some bullish divs. All right, let's see what happens here. Let's see. I just added a bunch of money to this long trade because, well, why not? You know, this is resistance here. We reject from here. I close the trade for no loss, essentially. We pump from here. Well, now I've got $350,000 on a Bitcoin long, baby. Let's see if we can't get up to 6 Juanita at least here. 6 Juanita, 63,703. 63,703. We'll take a little profits out. Let's see what we can do here, guys. Let's see what we can do, baby. Come on, Bitcoin. This is resistance. We blast through. We go the distance. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. Let's see what we can do. All right. Let's see what we can do. Come on, Bitcoin.
Yeah,
here we go. About to pump the Bitcoin, here we go. Sit back, here we go. Yeah, Bitcoin was dumping, was looking kinda nice. We took some Depends, we put it in our pipe, then we smoked it once, and we smoked it twice. Now we're coming back up, and the price looks right. Here we go, take a look at the chart. Got the pirate hat up here on my yard. Arr, like Jason Casper when he starts to trade. Sitting down at the treadmill, we're trying to get paid. Cause we know that we're at resistance, but if we break through, then we go the distance. Got $350,000 on the long. Now sit back and listen to my crypto song. Are we gonna pump or are we gonna dump? I don't even know, maybe we are in a slump. But my man Jerome Powell came out of the closet, dumped it and pumped it. Now can you even spot it? He had a conversation with a lady, Jason Casper, you know he loves to trade me. Every single day when we come to the scrainy, walking on the treadmill, we ain't no grainy. Yeah, talking about Granny Smith, apples on the tree, makes me have to piss when I'm drinking the juice. And I'm feeling kinda loose when I'm walking on the treadmill in my fresh new shoes. Yeah, I got a clip on my nose. The Bitcoin about to pump up, I'll show you how she goes down the treadmill. Stock after 100 minutes, about to pump it back on. Better eat your spinach like Popeye, you know who I'm saying. Every single day with the Bitcoin be paid with the trades, when I'm digging with the spades in the garden outside next to you and next to the graves. Talking about all the bears who shorted the bottoms, digging 6 feet under and you know they're not spotting them. I got the eyes popping out of my head. Hopefully you're not bears cause you're about to end up dead. Then we took the plunger. Oh no, we're getting a rejection. The Bitcoin price better change direction after I FOMO long at the exact bottom. Now we're about to get stopped out. Can you even spot him? Cause oh no, I gotta get my composure. The Bitcoin price will not have it over me again. Last time I did it, I was hanging with my friends, driving in my fresh Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, we better get the monocle eyeglass. Hopefully the Bitcoin dump is about to pass. Then we look over here, we can see it in the grass. The Bitcoin price is about to blast. Yeah, 355K. Trading Bitcoin, now listen to what I say. Got the pens, adult diaper, AAs, yeah. Fresh look, and that's what I like to say. Hopefully when we look at Exo charts, got the blue and purple candles like a nice work of art. Got the fresh OI, then the bears start to cry. Then we pump up, blast into the sky. Over on ByBit, like Carl from the moon. Guess what, man? About to see you in June when we drive in the Maserati to McDonald's to get a Big Mac. Hey, hey, yellow line looking fine here on the chart. Once we break above, then we go really far. And now the beat is over. Don't know what to say. Shout out to Grover and Nova. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see what happens, baby. All right. Let's see what happens. Let's get another one. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. All right. We're trying to get that pump, baby. Trying to get the pump. Here we go, baby. Blue candles to the 618. To the 618. To the 618, yeah. Bitcoin to the 618. Bitcoin to the 618, yeah. Bitcoin to the 618, baby. Bitcoin to the 618. To the chickens drinking water, baby. Here we go. Shout out to 618. Yeah. Bitcoin, J Powell started to dump, but then we bounced from the daily, now we started to pump. Then we came up to the yellow line. I said, Bitcoin, dang girl, you looking so fine. Talking about 618, my high school crush. Don't you know Jay Casper? I loved her so much, so I tried to ask her on a date. She said, Jason Casper, stop, just wait, because I don't like you that way, but I like you like a brother. I will not date you, I'll only date another. Then she looked at Sam Bankman-Fried, had me so embarrassed that you know that I peed in my pants. It's all good, cause I got the Depends. I wear them every day with all my good friends. Then I take them, I shove them in the pipe. Got a piece of Depends here, about to light. Take a hit of those Depends, and what you know, no liquidation, better look out below. Then we come back to the ByBit chart. Got the beautiful candles like a nice work of art. Coming up to the 618, known as the golden pocket, looking so great. And above it, we got the 786. Is the Bitcoin price back to her old tricks? Let's take a look at the 786. Here's a picture of her, they say she's a chick. But hold up, what's that in her face? Looks like a beard, and it makes me want to say, perhaps it's a guy in disguise. It isn't very wise to walk around with all that makeup on your eyes. Better wipe it off, better hit the spot. Makes me so dang sick, now I have to cough. Cause the hopium is so dang harsh. Smoking with my pipe with my good friend Harsh, a guy I went to school with from New Delhi. Hope the Bitcoin price doesn't make you jelly, cause I got the clip up about those. Cause the stank up in the road is as far as it goes. Cause the bears get smoked, and you know what they say. The bird hair smells bad, watch out for the trade say. Oh no, we got the crisp microphone on the screen. Better look out and call your phone on the mean. As we're pumping so high, don't you know the Bitcoin price is about to fly. Then we see we got a nice eye patch. Put it on our eye, it makes you wanna scratch like, are we going so far? They call me Pirate Jason Casper when I'm driving in my car, yeah. The candle's turning purple, Bitcoin got me going in circles. They say, Jay, man, you look like Steve Urkel. Not with your skin color, but the way you snorkel. Yeah, cause I snorkel in the ocean every single day. Bitcoin looking like the lotion. Put it on my skin, nice and slippery. The Bitcoin price about to go so dippery. Yeah, now we're coming back down. Hopefully the Bitcoin price starts to turn around. When we look at XO, what do we see? Short strap at the bottom, now I have to pee. So guess what, when I have to pee, what do? I have a pee jug right next to my stool. Okay, alright. Let's see, guys. Can we pump it up? I don't know. Can we pump it up? Can we pump it up? More cringy than usual? You mean cringy. Cringy, Spank. With a C. Unless you're talking to text. Guys, is there anything cringy about Jason Casper? Is there anything cringy about me, guys? I mean, come on. I can't believe people say I'm cringy. It really hurts my self-esteem. This must be why 618 didn't go out with me. Alright? Let's see. We're gonna have to get the... Let's see. Where were we? Hang on. We're gonna have to do the pump song, alright? Do the pump song. Let's see. Where's the pump song? We're gonna pump it with the pump song. This is... Forget it. Forget it. We're not gonna pump, guys. We're rejecting. 63,255. Can I set a partial stop loss on this? What? Hang on. I don't know how to do this. I don't even know how to do this. Hang on one second. Hang on one second. I don't know how to do this, but you know what? We're going to try and sing the pump song to see if we can have one last hope of this Bitcoin price pumping, all right? All right? Here we go. Let's see if we can't pump it with the pump song, baby. Here we go, baby. Grab your microphones. Let's pump! Here we go. This is our last chance. Yeah! Alright. We're gonna need a miracle, honestly, for this pump song. Here we go. Come on, baby. We gonna dump? No, we're gonna pump. Let's do it, baby. Come on. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby. Let's go. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby. Let's go. Come on, Bitcoin, come on. Let's pump! Don't do this to me! Ah! Alright, we're gonna have to mark it out some, guys. Just to cover those fees down there. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby, let's go. We're gonna dump, we're gonna dump. We're gonna dump, we're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby, let's go. It has a delayed effect, baby. Come on! Come on, Bitcoin, come on! Where's the stop loss? There is no stop loss! Come on! Let's go, baby, come on! We've got to do it! Let's see if we can. We can't get the eye patch on. It's not looking so great with the eye patch. I don't know how to do this. Here we go. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby, let's go. We're gonna dump, yeah we're gonna put it. We're gonna dip, yeah we're gonna pump. We're gonna dump, no we're gonna pump. Pump the Bitcoin, baby, let's go. We're pumping Bitcoin, baby. Yeah, we're pumping Bitcoin, baby. Yeah, we're pumping Bitcoin. Yeah, we're pumping Bitcoin. Yeah, we're gonna dump. Yeah, we're gonna pump. Yeah, we're gonna dump. No, we're gonna pump right now. Whew. Alright, it has a delayed effect, guys. I had to mark it out because we made another low. And I can't let myself close this out for less than $4,000. $4,000 is money I need to make on this trade. I'm not going to let myself lose that. So here we go, baby. We're back at it again. Bitcoin chilling with all her good friends. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright. Shout out to y'all. What a crazy stream this has been. Hang on one second. There we go. All right. We are pumping once again, y'all. See, it does work. I had to FOMO out there, man, but it works. All right, let's see. Let's see. Talk to me. Are we going down? Cool vibes? I mean, we just sang the pump song, so you tell me. Are we going down? Are we going down? We just sang the pump song. You tell me. Here we go, baby. It's about to be 3 p.m. You know what Bitcoin loves to do at 3 p.m.? Here, I'm going to take a poll. All right. Let's take a poll. What does Bitcoin like to do at 3 p.m.? Send the poll. What does Bitcoin do at 3 p.m.? All right, I want you guys to all vote in the poll. What does Bitcoin do at 3 p.m.? Your two options are yes or pump. What does Bitcoin do at 3 p.m.? Answer the question. What does Bitcoin do at 3 p.m.? That's right, baby. She pumps, all right? Let's wait and see how she wants to go here. She's at resistance. Honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know, guys. I don't even know. Let's just see what happens, all right? We're either going to make 4 grand or we're going to make a lot more. So let's see what happens on this one, all right? Head and shoulders on the 1 minute. Zolt Viola. Are you trying to spread FUD? Dang it. Look at that head and shoulders on the Uno minute, guys. Look at the H&S on the 1. H&S on the 1. Looking kind of fun. Like she wants to dumb. Alright. How is that yellow line resistance? Look at this, guys. Yellow line. Alright. What was it? It was support. Then it was resistance. So now we flipped support into resistance. Okay. Support into resistance. Shout out to Big Butts 28. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh Father, have mercy. Maybe a W formation. Yeah, maybe a W formation. We'll have to see. Look, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I will say what I've been saying, which is we could bounce from here. I prefer lower, all right? When I saw the bounce, I said, let me just add, because let's be honest. If I was long from down here, 62.6, and this doesn't hold, it literally makes no difference whether I add to it now or wait until lower. So I figured, let me FOMO in now. And let's see what happens here. This is resistance. It's probably the value area low of the range as well. Let's pull the range. Yeah, it's the value area low of the range. So look, we can't come above here. Bad news. Bulls. The only hope for us right now is the old Wumbo pattern, right? The old W pattern of wonder, which is this. This is our only hope. The W pattern of wonder to come down. And then... Come on, Bitcoin. Can you do it? Can she do it? Looks like no. Looks like no. Shout out to Farouk. I just shorted. You're safe in your longs. Well, Farouk, if you did short, it's actually not a bad short entry because you have a really nice invalidation right here with the value area high and then shooting down to 62.3, right? That's a really nice, actually a really nice risk to reward right there. Even if it's a losing trade, that's a nice setup, man. Honestly, I mean, if we're gonna dump, this is where it's gonna be from, all right? So, if we lose this current low where we're at right now, just to people asking, I'm long from this low right here, all right? But this is an old trade, so I'm guaranteed to make 4 grand on it no matter what. I'm also in the short from 66.3-ish, and my target for that short is going to be down toward this zone right here, all right? Now, this trade is one that we've been like, you know, the naked point of control and all that stuff. Why don't I take liquidity for Confluence? I usually do. V says the poll makes no sense. Guys, can you please tell V in the chat that the poll makes lots of sense? V, everyone thinks it makes sense except you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, V. Everyone else thinks it makes sense. Right, guys? Everyone thinks the poll makes sense except you. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Honestly, I don't mean it at all to be disrespectful, but everyone thinks the poll makes sense except for you. All right. Shout out to Abjude in the chat, and a major shout out to our super chats. All right. Shout out to all our super chats. All right. Rich and HH, Joe Who, Muhammad again, JGD. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Frankie Legend. Shout out to JGD again. Shout out to Landback Wait, Labanacht. Can you check Jasmine? Sure, let's check Jasmine. Rich and HH been waiting for it to come down at 0.65 at 62.70, or the 6 minute at 62K. Yeah, that's another level to be aware of. Basically, these are the levels. These are the levels to be aware of next. These are the Wait a second, that's not right. These aren't the levels. Hang on one second. These are the levels to be aware of next, guys. Alright, these are the levels to be aware of next. So, we'll take a look at Jasmine. Jasmine. Alright, this was a potential long idea that we had since Friday, September 20th. We came to the value area high, which is obviously an area of resistance, and now we're getting a rejection. So look, Jasmine, in my opinion, if Bitcoin is going to hold and pump, we are going to continue to see higher lows and higher highs. Right? So right now, because we made a higher high, I would be looking to get a bounce from POC retest, Confluence with Golden Pocket at around 2 cents. All right? Around 2 cents. So that's what I would be looking for right now. And if Bitcoin is going to dump, if the high is in, not looking good for Jasmine, honestly. Because another way to look at this is we simply came up to the support resistance flip and rejection, right? But it really, in my opinion, depends on Bitcoin. The bullish scenario is still valid. But there is now a bearish scenario play, which is we've taken the liquidity at the high of the range, and now we can come potentially to take liquidity at the low of the range to our green box, right? So that's what we're looking for. Shout out to Abjude in the chat. Abjude says, we will go down through the levels now. There is a Tralfium super magnet at 0.1. Abjude, I'm too dumb to know what that is, my friend, okay? All right. Jasmine looks wild. All right. Check Sui. We already did look at Sui. We looked at Sui. Sui reminds me of sushi. Or chop suey. Come on, Bitcoin. Let's see if we get a little pump. All right, this could be a bull flag. Let's see if this is a bull flag. Did we bounce from the 382? No, not quite. Yeah, maybe. All right, let's go, baby. Yeah, baby. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. Let's see what happens here, guys, as Bitcoin is getting a little bit of a move to the upside. All right, Abjude says Tralfium is a superfluid liquid helium. It's the most rare element in the state of nature. The best nukes are made of it. Nice, man. Didn't know about that. Am I a Biden supporter? Do you ask that because of my Twitter? I love Joe Biden. Shout out to Joe Biden. Joe. Oh, Joe. I love you so much. You know what's crazy? During this dump, I actually called up Joe. I said, hey, Joe, Bitcoin's dumping. What do you have to say about it? Because me and him are like this, baby. This is actually what he had to say about it.
Now, let me be clear. I've been dead since 2019, and every time you've seen me on TV, it's either been a deep fake or a body double. But the science is settled. This is all Trump's fault.
So he said the science is clear that it's all Trump's fault. So I called up Trump because I am also good friends with Trump, you know? Called him up. I said, hey, Mr. Orange Man Bad, what do you think about this dump? This is what he had to say.
Holy crap, folks, we're dumping, and it's going to be huge. We got a massive red candle on the chart. Kamala Harris and her cronies are at it again. This is what communism will do, folks. We need to get together and make Jason Casper great again. Let me see a blue candle, baby.
He said, let me see a blue candle, baby. And let me tell you, Trump is the reason for the pump. All right? All right? So it's a battle between Biden and Trump. A battle between Biden and Trump. In fact, everything that happens in life, everything is a battle between Biden and Trump. My garden, my zucchinis this year didn't do well. Why? Because of the liberals. The liberals and Joe Biden's policies caused my zucchini to die. But my neighbors down the road, they are liberals. And when I talked to them about it, it was because of Trump. All right? Trump being so racist and so xenophobic. That's why their zucchinis died. Mine died because Joe Biden's a communist. The Democratic Communist Party trying to take over America. All right? It's all about Biden and Trump. There's a war in another country. Is there a war in another country that's not America? It's because of either Biden or Trump's fault. One of them guys' fault. Because the United States president controls what other countries do with their warfare. If you didn't know that, us Americans are so arrogant, we think that because of who our president is, will control what other countries do when it comes to going to war. You know? Do I support Joe Biden? Man, Joe Biden smells so good. I love the smell of Joe Biden. One time I smelled him. Actually, he smelled me. He smelled me. He gave me a good whiff. I gave him a whiff right back. Okay? Shout out to Joe Biden. All right, Bitcoin getting a little pump to the upside, guys. A little bit of a pump up. Let's see what happens here. All right, so look, we're getting a little move up here, but in the big scheme of things, it's a very small move up, right? When we look at this, it's just a tiny little move up, you know? But we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens by tomorrow. Look at this. We're coming right up to the 6 Juanita. This is the next level that we're looking for. Right here. All right, the next level we're looking for. What in the world? Why does this keep happening? Hang on one second. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's close that out forever. There we go. How did I catch this juicy long? Just go back a little bit in the stream. You'll see exactly how I did it. All right. Yeah, me and Joe, we share ice cream together. All right. I'll tell you one thing about my friend Joe. He sure does love ice cream, that guy. That's one of his special abilities. Liking ice cream. Takes a special kind of person to like ice cream, you know? It's real hard to like ice cream. It's really difficult to like ice cream. When will the exchange be launched? In about in January. In January, the exchange will go live net. All right, for sure. Maybe before that. All right. Crypto Crank, what help do you want me to tell you, Crypto Crank? All right. If you're trying to prove a spinning ball from the Bible, you're not going to do it, my friend. All right. It doesn't really tell you much about the shape. I'll tell you that. It doesn't really tell you much about the shape. But it does tell you some things that contradict the modern conception. All right, let's just put it that way. So you got to make your own decision how you want to interpret that, my friend. And you got to be consistent with your hermeneutic and pick a side. Pick a side. You want to be the metaphorical side, the allegorical side. You got to be consistent with it. You want to be the literal side. You got to be consistent with it. But don't switch your hermeneutic halfway through. I can't stand when I know nobody knows what I'm talking about except Crypto Crank. That's okay. I can't stand when people read the first chapter of the Bible and they take certain parts literally and other parts they take allegorically. You can't do that. It's one genre of literature. You either have to take it all as literal or all as allegoric. You can't switch halfway through because you don't like the way a certain part lines up with your current understandings. Do I do one-on-one coaching? Nah, not anymore. I used to. Alright? I used to. Shout out to Abjude. It's very important to watch KDA and Shiba Inu. What they do. I use those two to pull Bitcoin down. Slow dump, but I hope it drops faster with time. Alright, Bitcoin right now. Let's check out what's happening on the order flow. Alright, so it looks like we had a few longs long that top, and now they are getting wrecked. But let's see what happens here, guys. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. It's not over until the fat lady sings Sweet Home Alabama. Alright. Harry Potter is a better story than the Bible. You really think so, Carl White? You really think so? I don't think so, because the Bible affects everybody, right? I mean, if the Bible's true, then there's eternal hope and eternal purpose for mankind, and we're all a part of the story. But even if Harry Potter was true, I mean, it's just about some guy, you know? It's not, I don't think it's as good of a story. I think it's a better story that the creator of the universe loved his creation so much that he condescended down to take on flesh, to die for their sins and rise again on the third day, so that if people put their faith in him, he promises to fill them with his Holy Spirit, cause them to be born again, and promises to give them eternal life, eternal purpose, to take away the meaninglessness of this current existence. So we get to exist in the state that we were meant to exist in. To me, that's a much better story than the story of Harry Potter. Maybe that's just me, you know? Maybe I'm just a little biased, you know? I am a Bible thumper. Got a big, giant old King James Bible over here. I'm looking at it right now. Massive. This thing is massive. People are like, Jason, how the heck do you get so jacked? It's from carrying the King James Bible all over the place, baby. Andres says, the Bible's been rewritten plenty of times. Okay, Andres, I will give you $1,000 if you tell me when and who rewrote the Bible. All right, now's your chance, buddy. When was it rewritten? It's been plenty of times. When and who? It's time for the big reveal. Andres is going to let us know when the Bible was rewritten and who rewrote it. Yeah, the KJV Bible reps. All right, Bitcoin. What is she doing here, man? She is getting a little bit schizo right here. A little bit schizo right here. And order flow is not much help. Let's check out good old market Cipher B. All right. Market Cipher B doesn't really tell us much. Honestly, It could go one way or the other. It could go one way or the other. Crypto Face is probably another $1 million long. All right. Oh, Jerome and Martin Luther rewrote the Bible? Says J.R. Jodhav. Can you get $500? Nah. Jerome and Martin Luther did not rewrite the Bible. I'm so sorry. Shout out to Trekka. Honestly, of all the answers you could give, this is probably the one I like the most. The Bible was rewritten by J.K. Rowling and retitled it Harry Potter. I like that answer the best. CryptoFace was short a couple of hours ago. All right. All right. Andres, I don't want you to send me a link. I want you to tell me who rewrote it and when, my friend. All right? Who rewrote it and when? It should be easy to say that, all right? It should be easy to say who rewrote the Bible and when was it rewritten. Just give me a year. Just give me a year that you think it was rewritten. Can you please explain why suddenly large amounts of liquidity disappear from Bookmap sometimes? What does that mean to you? It's because Bookmap is showing you limit orders, okay? Limit orders. And you can set a limit order and then take away limit order. This is why I don't use Bookmap. This is why I like to use ExoCharts. Because ExoCharts will show you, it doesn't show you limit orders in the book, but it will show you when limit orders are being filled, right? So ExoCharts will show you absorption, which means limit orders are actually being filled in the moment. On Bookmap, you can see limit orders being put there and might say like $5 million short at this area, sell wall, right? But then right before price hits there, you take it away. ExoCharts doesn't tell you where the limit orders are, but if you know how to use ExoCharts, you can see limit orders being filled in real time. And so you can see, aha, there's like a $5 million limit order being filled right now. So it's not just talk, it's action. ExoCharts is action. Bookmap is all talk. All right, Bookmap is all talk. You know? Shout out to my man. That's so true. I am such a troll. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Yeah, so I prefer ExoCharts, you know? I prefer ExoCharts. Let's check out Market Cipher. Money flow crossing up, very ambiguous. We've got the 12-minute divs confirmed here. Oh, man. Look, I don't know what's going to happen here, guys, but look, like I said, we could bounce from here. I prefer lower. Where do I want to come? I want to come down to one of these levels here on the chart, guys. take the liquidity from last week. That's going to be prime. That's going to be primary. And then after that, we're going to look to come down to the golden pocket, right? To the golden pocket. Oh, Buff Link says the Council of Nicaea rewrote the Bible in 325 AD. Oh, that's interesting, Buff Link. When people say that, it means they don't know what happened at the Council of Nicaea, because the Bible was not a topic at the first Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. All right, the topics that were discussed were Christology, when to celebrate Passover, and a few other things pertaining to how churches were going to operate. Had nothing to do with the Bible at all, actually. So, unfortunately, the Council of Nicaea did not rewrite the Bible. The Bible was already well established before the Council of Nicaea. Way before 325 AD. How do we know this? Well, we have manuscripts that predate the Council of Nicaea. And even more than that, we have the writings of the early disciples of the disciples who quote the Bible all over the place. In fact, you can reconstruct the entirety of the New Testament even if there were no biblical manuscripts. You could reconstruct the entirety of the New Testament from the quotations of the apostles, the disciples of the disciples. Here's a website where you can literally reconstruct the entire New Testament by people who wrote before the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, right? These are the disciples of the disciples who are quoting scripture in their writings and their epistles to churches in the area. And you can actually see their quotations. This is a great website, by the way, where you can see where they quote and allude to pretty much every single verse in the New Testament, except 11 verses, right? So, unfortunately, anti-Nicene fathers before the Council of Nicaea, people were already quoting the New Testament to the point where we could reconstruct it just based on the quotations. So, never mind the fact that we have literally hundreds of manuscripts, pre-Nicene, fragmentary manuscripts of the New Testament, but we have the attestation of the early believers as well. What website is that? Yeah, let me post it in the chat. I'll post that in the chat. Here you go. If you want to check it out. Here we go, baby. Bitcoin getting a little bit of a blue candle. Donna says the Bible has been butchered by many. Okay, by who? I would like to know. Who butchered the Bible? I would like to know. Okay, I would like to know. And when did it happen? Who did it and when did it happen? Because I don't believe it's been butchered. But if someone can show me proof that it was butchered, and when it was butchered, and who did it, then I will believe the Bible has been butchered. But until then, the evidence overwhelmingly is that the Bible has not been butchered. Right? I could read you Old Testament scrolls that were written over 1,000 years ago. I'm sorry, over 2,000 years ago. 2,300 years ago. before the birth of Jesus. I could read you scrolls of the Bible from before the birth of Jesus. I could read you entire copies of the New Testament from the 4th century and fragmentary manuscripts going all the way back to the 1st and 2nd century. In some cases, we have insanely old fragments. And we have the writings of all the early apostolic fathers who quoted the Bible before the Council of Nicaea and all this stuff. So I'm open to evidence, but I have not yet seen any. I have not seen any. The church, Sin Lee says the church changed the Bible to gain money. Okay. When did the church change the Bible to gain money, Sin Lee? Sin Lee, if you can show me when the church changed the Bible to gain money, I will give you $1,000. Can you show me a historical source where all of a sudden the manuscript tradition changes, where the Bible used to say one thing and now it says something else? Because we have manuscripts that go all the way back, in some cases, to the 2nd century, during the lifetime of the disciples of the disciples. People who witnessed the events, right? I just showed you the early ante-Nicene fathers quoting the New Testament before 300 AD. So in the first 3 centuries of Christianity, just based on the early Christians and their writings, we could compile the entirety of the New Testament. Plus we have hundreds of manuscripts in multiple languages showing that the message and the content of the New Testament is the same today as it was back in the time of the apostles. But I'm open to evidence. I really am. I'm open to anything. I am. All right, Anthony says the King James Version itself has been rewritten multiple times with slight edits and changes throughout the years. The King James Version is a translation, it's a translation of the original Greek and Hebrew. So if you want to know what the original says, you can go back to the original Greek. So I love this codex because it's available for all to see on the internet. But you can go back and see what the Bible said in 300 AD, right? 1300 years before King James, right? That's the thing. If you want to know if King James changed the Bible, go read the Bible before King James and then go read the Bible after King James and see if there's a difference. People like to say, the Bible's been changed. Okay, show me. Because I can show you the Bible in its entirety. This is the oldest complete New Testament that we have from the early 4th century. And so we know what the Bible said in 300 AD. And so compare it to now the Bible as it exists today in 2024 AD. And then you tell me if the Bible's been changed, all right? That's what's so great about manuscript evidence. You can see for yourself if something's been changed. All right, Jungle Boy says, King James is the first who rewrote it. That's why they call it the New Testament. I don't know if you're trolling. It seems like you're trolling. But if you're not trolling, all right, King James probably wasn't even a believer, but he had a team of scholars translate the Bible from Hebrew and Greek into English in 1611. And the manuscripts that they used to translate it were in the original Greek and the original Hebrew. And they just translated the original language into English. But seriously, I really mean this. If anybody, I'm not even kidding you. I'm totally serious. Because I offer to give away $1,000 every single stream. If anybody can show me when and who rewrote the Bible, I will give you $1,000. I will put my email here. All right, I'll put my email right here in the chat. And I will honor my word. Show me who rewrote it and when it was rewritten, I will give you $1,000. Look, Vax says Council of Nicaea. It's so amazing how illiterate, historically and biblically illiterate my generation is. It's so crazy that people believe like these weird lies because they saw like some YouTube short that says the Council of Nicaea rewrote the Bible, when the Council of Nicaea didn't even discuss the contents of the Bible. They didn't even discuss this. It wasn't even on the table for discussion. The Bible was already very well recognized of what it was at the time, right? So, I mean, even just a simple Google search, you can see what they discussed at the Council of Nicaea. When are they going to celebrate Passover? Right? Are they going to do it based on the Jewish calendar? Are they going to do it on a different calendar? Right? Christology. What is the nature of Jesus? This was one of their discussions. All right. Are we going to pump? We're trying to pump. We're trying to pump. Michael Student says Jesus Christ, using the Lord's name in vain. He says religion is a form of control and gives people peace of mind to not wonder so much about reality while they work their 8 to 9 hour jobs and continue to slave for the overlords. You know what's ironic about that statement is, I only think so much about spiritual things because I don't have a job, I'll be honest with you. Because I have time to just sit there and think. I honestly feel like it's the opposite. I feel like working a 9-to-5 job keeps you from thinking about deep spiritual realities that we all face every single day. Like, what's the point of life? Why am I here? You know? Why am I even here? Is there purpose? Is there meaning? Is there a creator? Why? Why are we here? You know? These are the kinds of questions you can only think about if you have time to think. Other than that, you're just so busy on the hamster wheel, you don't have time to think about it. Honestly. That's just my own personal experience. Alright, so Plan FOMC, he's talking about translations of the Bible. I'm saying who rewrote the Bible, not who translated the Bible. A translation is not rewriting something, right? It's translating it. If I say, me llamo Jason, and then I say my name is Jason, I'm not changing anything. I'm translating. You know what I'm saying? But how do we know if the Latin translation is true? Well, forget about the Latin translation. Go back to the original Greek. Forget about Jerome, who translated the Greek into the Latin Vulgate. Go back before Jerome. Don't trust the Latin Vulgate? Go read the Greek manuscripts that precede the Latin Vulgate, right? If you don't trust a certain translation of the Bible, go read the oldest manuscripts of the Bible, right? That's how you figure out if something's been changed, you know? Shout out to I Watched. I love you, man. Appreciate you. All right, CR86. Can you show me a single verse in the Bible where Jesus says, I'm not God, don't worship me? Is there a single verse in the Bible where Jesus says, I'm not God, do not worship me? Because we see all over the place in the Bible, Jesus accepting worship. Multiple times, he's accepting worship. And people call him God, right? Like Thomas, he calls him God, my master and my God, he calls him, and then he worshipped him. So look, if we're going to take the New Testament at face value, Jesus clearly is God. Clearly, there's no way around it. Long the Revolution says, we are gods. Well, that's not true, but, we have the ability to become born again children of God through Jesus, right? That is the good news. That's the gospel, the good news about what God did for us, right? So, in the book of John, the Gospel of John, it says, to as many as received him, talking about Jesus, to them he gave the power to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who are born again, not of blood, not of the will of flesh, nor the will of man, but are born again of God, right? So, we are not gods. We are fallen creatures separated from God because of our sin. But the story of the Bible is that God redeemed us. He purchased us back, right? We deserve death because of sin, because sin entered into humanity, and all of us deserve to die. But God condescended. He took on flesh. He paid the penalty for our sins. And when he rose from the dead after 3 days, it shows that his sacrifice was sufficient to pay for sin. Because think about it, everybody else who's ever died remains dead. Jesus lived a sinless life, he died, and then he rose from the dead, showing that the curse of sin is broken. What was the original punishment of Adam and Eve sinning? Was that they were going to die. God said, on the day you eat of it, speaking of the fruit of the tree, you will surely die. And from the time Adam ate the fruit, everyone died. Then Jesus comes along. He dies and is resurrected from the dead, showing that something has changed now. That punishment of you will surely die has been broken and paid for. And that's why it says, to those who receive him, he gives them the right and the power to become children of God who are born again. Not born of blood, not of flesh, not the will of Adam, but born again of God. He actually causes you to be born again, fills you with his Holy Spirit, turns you into a new creation, so you can have eternal hope of eternal life. That is the good news of the gospel. Look, Bitcoin's pumping, baby. XRP88 wants an Ethiopian Bible. I would love that. The only problem is I can't read the Ethiopian language. You know? I cannot read the Ethiopian language. We don't need to be saved. Man. Long the revolution, you know, I respect everybody's view. But if you can't look around at humanity and see the depravity within the heart of man, I don't know what to tell you. Look at the condition of the world right now because of the depravity of the heart of man. Because we are a self-destructive species. Unlike every other species out there of animal that just lives their life minding their own business for the most part, we are self-destructive. We destroy each other. We destroy the world. We destroy each other. We cannot govern ourselves. There is a real issue that needs to be dealt with. And the only way we can actually realize our true potential of being as gods, because remember, when God created man, he created us in his image and in his likeness. That's why we were created. We were created to be like God and to reflect who he is. But now we're a distorted reflection of that. Right? So only through Jesus can we now become a renewed reflection of who God really is. You know? So I do respect all views, but this is a serious situation, you know? It's a serious situation. We've been programmed to destroy ourselves. No, Spaceman, we're not programmed to destroy ourselves. There's a sickness that exists within us. It's called sin. Sin is when the creation operates contrary to the way it was created to operate. All right? So now that sin has entered into humanity, our free will has the ability to choose the right thing or the wrong thing, right? And when we choose the wrong thing, well, the repercussions are it destroys us. Just like anything else in the creation. Imagine if day and night, the cycle of day and night didn't happen, right? The sun didn't come up when it was supposed to come up. The sun decided not to come up for like a week. That would cause destruction because the creation is not operating the way it was created to operate. It's the same with us. We were created to operate in God's likeness. When we do not operate like that, it is destructive to the creation, right? That's why we're in need of redemption. That's why we're in need of being born again. And the only way that's possible is through Jesus, Yeshua, who is God, who took on flesh to pay for the penalty of our sin. That's how much God loves us and desires relationship with us. It says that he took on flesh and he dwelt among us. Crypto Naughty doesn't like that God lets Catholic priests do things with younglings. This is again just another example of the fact that man is completely depraved. Right? Man is completely depraved. We need to be born again. Otherwise, this is just what happens. It's not just priests. People have been doing things with little boys for a very long time. Do you wonder why? Why do you think that historically speaking, societies have the propensity to move in the direction toward doing things with the youngins? Why is that? It's because the human heart is depraved, we're sinful, we're separated from God, we're in need of being born again. The fact that bad things happen, the fact that people do bad things, is just evidence of our condition and our need for somebody to save us from this condition, which is self-destructive. It's a self-destructive condition. You never thought of the language barrier of an Ethiopian Bible? All right. God is super powerful and decided to make us sinful. The story makes no sense. Well, he didn't make us sinful, right? He didn't make us sinful. He created us with free will, but we were not sinful until sin entered into the genealogy, right? And this is called, I guess, this goes along with the problem of evil. The problem of evil, right? Why did God create us this way? Or why did God allow us to be this way? Or why doesn't God stop us from being this way? Why doesn't God stop the evil things that are happening all over the place, right? Why does he not stop innocent people from getting hurt or dying, right? These are questions that we need to wrestle with. And there are sufficient answers for this. I mean, first of all, if you understand the complete depravity of mankind, and you understand the reality that there really is no innocent person. We are all sinful and fallen, right? That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is God has provided a solution, right? This is not the end, guys. This is not the end. God has provided a solution, and he sees things from a scope that we cannot perceive. He sees things from a scope that we cannot perceive, and we do not know how God is going to use these things for a greater good. We cannot, and we do not know. We don't have the ability to know those things. But at the end of the day, when we look around at why bad things are happening, it's because of us, right? We are the issue. So when we look around and we say, man, these horrible things are happening, we have to realize it's us. We're the problem. So now that we understand the problem is with humanity, what can we do about it? What can we do about the fact that man is completely depraved, bent on doing evil? Is there any way out of this? Is there any solution to this? That's where the good news about Jesus comes in. He says, yeah, there is a solution to this. I provided you the solution to this. Right? I mean, this is a topic that literally we could spend hours talking about, to be honest with you. But this is true too. You cannot love somebody unless you give them free will to love you or not to love you. Right? We're not love robots. We have free will. T.Y. Fox says, my flesh is tainted. Could I get a new skin suit? Yeah, you can. You can. Right? The resurrection of the dead. This is... I mean, this is the main hope of faith in Jesus, is the resurrection of the dead. A new body. Right? We will get new bodies. New bodies. But... look at this Bitcoin pump, man. Look at this Bitcoin pump. Are we forming a bearish pattern? We could be forming a bearish pattern. I mean, look, if we're going to get a rejection, the first place I would look is going to be, well, yeah, the golden pocket. We're looking for a move up to 63,700 for our first rejection. 63,700. Will the new body be able to run and not get tired? Oh yeah, for sure, Sniffer in Chief. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where's the pump, CG? I mean, I don't know. I'm on the 1 minute time frame, so for me, this is a pump, baby. All right, this is a pump for me, baby. So I don't know about you. I don't know about y'all, but this is a pump for me. Shout out to Trader Boy, up 36% in the long. All right. I think we can hit that golden pocket, to be honest with you. Do I think we'll revisit 57? Well, I right now the only two levels the only areas I'm really interested right now, guys, are going to be for now between 61k and 62.3. This is like very important support. Right now, I can't think about anything else unless we either lose this level or above us, resistance right now is going to be this right here. The analysis I basically gave at the beginning of the stream, these are the two areas where right now I'm looking for my next trades. I don't really know what's going to happen after these levels. I'm taking it level by level. I think it becomes pretty clear, just even based on this chart, like this box right here, we pull it back. This is such an important level here. Support resistance flip. If we lose it, we can see why that's really bearish, and we can see why we're looking for a bounce from here. And then this level up here is very important because this is going to be the POC of the entirety of this range right here. Right? The POC of all of this. So these are the two levels I'm very much so interested in and aware of. Until then, anything's possible. Like 57, anything's possible, guys. But we got to take it step by step. There's no reason to think 57 right now unless we don't hold 61. If we don't hold 61, then we could say, where's the next support coming in? In that case, pull the golden pocket from low to high. And 57 is that level, right? But until we come down and lose 61, there's no reason to be looking at 57 yet. That's just my opinion, because then I'm aware of 57, but there's no sign on the chart yet that we're going to come to 57. We need to just blatantly fall through this box, because this box is obviously very massive support. You know? Let's check it back out here. Come on, Bitcoin. Get up to... I think we can come up to that golden pocket. I really think we can. And it's about to be 4 o'clock, which is power hour. So we might be able to get a little bit of a pump here. Can you get my gym routine? I mean, right now I'm doing upper lower twice a week. I just started working out 4 days a week. I've worked out 2 to 3 days a week for the past 7 years. I'm starting to do 4 days a week now because it was just getting too much. It was getting too much to do full body. It was just, I couldn't do it. I'm getting too old for that, honestly. But right now I'm doing day 1 is upper body. I'll do a push and a pull. And then I'll do some accessory movements. And then my second day is a lower body. I do a squat and a hip hinge. And then some accessory movements. And that's really it. And then I take a day off, and then I do another upper day where I pick 2 different push and pull movements. And then the next day is a lower day where I do 2 different variations of a squat or a hip hinge. And then I work out my arms. My arms and my shoulders I do on leg day. So if I'm doing squats and deadlifts, I'll also do curls and like lateral raises. And then my calves I work out on my upper body day. So if I'm doing like incline dumbbell bench press and a barbell row, I'll do my calves before that. And I always do, I've been really like focusing a lot on my forearms lately too. Am I natural? Yeah, I've never taken anything. I never will take anything. It just goes against everything that I like. Phil says, why did God create a world with contradictions that are self-destructive, conditions that are self-destructive? It's like a dev making a coin on purpose with bad tokenomics just to see trouble and pain. I think the biggest difference between the creation and a dev is that the developer is using an algorithm that has no free will. But God created us as autonomous beings that can choose to love him, that can choose to serve him, or to choose to serve ourselves. Now, add into this the fact that sin has entered into the creation, and there's a sickness within us where our go-to now is to choose to serve ourselves. And that leads to all these horrible conditions that we see right now. Right? That's the biggest difference. We're not just an algorithm on a blockchain, right? We are creatures with free will that were created to reflect who God is. And so now that we are fallen, we reflect who he is, but it's a warped, twisted reflection. You know? I'm naturally on steroids. Yeah. I'm naturally on steroids, guys. Have I taken Viagra? Yes, I've taken Viagra. and it definitely works. I'm honestly not a fan of it too much. I don't like I don't like the effects of it because it makes me feel very strange. And actually, you know, real talk, it makes the experience less enjoyable. It kind of makes it like I can't believe I'm talking about this. Unless it's absolutely necessary, it makes it kind of like you just have a dead stick down there, but you can't really feel it too much. Alright, let's just put it that way. Well, what a great way to end the stream. Guys, I'm going to head out, alright? I got stuff to do. May God bless you all in Jesus' name. Alright, what a great way to end the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.